Well, happy Tuesday evening to you. Chris Hare, the Crypto Cowboy, bringing you yet another nightly update. Today is Tuesday, October 7th. It's about 9:15 here in Texas. Got past the daily close. Got all my horses and all my animals taken care of. So here I am in the trading/spur dungeon where I build all my spurs and everything that goes along with it. So if you're enjoying these videos, go ahead and like them. Tap that subscribe. Hit the bell notification. You'll get notifications of videos as soon as we drop them. And to get this out of the way, this video is not for financial advice. It is for entertainment and educational purposes only. Use caution when trading crypto. You could lose all of your money. All right. Getting into the crypto fear and greed index, getting into meat potatoes, what you guys are actually here for. Sitting at a 55 tonight. Think we were about 58 yesterday, so we came down. Not surprised with the pullback that we've had. But I wanted to show you on this, and we talked about this last night. You get these bull flags that the fear and greed index gets into, and then it just surges out of them. Another bull flag surged out of it. Been in a bull flag since about July, and now we're surging out of it. So pretty optimistic. If we move on to the Bitcoin liquidation heat map, you can see that down to about 118,000. There's $622 million worth of liquidations left. Moving the top side up around 126, there's about $700 million worth of liquidations left. So we're kind of right in the middle. You notice there's some heavy pockets up to about 123 to 124 and a half. I feel like we'll probably go up and try to grab some of these before we come down and get these. I think they're going to want to wipe these out before we head to the upside. But the charts will break it down. And I'm going to go ahead and go into a Bitcoin chart. We'll start there tonight. We'll go back. We'll catch back up with ETH on the liquidation heat maps when we get to it. But I wanted to tell a story here. We've been in a horrible pullback since about the first of the year, all the way until April, where we bottomed out right at about $74,000. And that was the start of this new run. But you can see I use Elliott wave theory, and the rules work. It tells you a story, and it gets you to the place that you're kind of looking for. Actually going to move this over. There we go. Something like that. Okay, but anyway, so we put in wave one. Wave one topped here right around $112,000. We retraced down into wave two, moved up to wave three. We topped out right. That's where we set our all-time highs. We set our all-time high twice now, and then we closed above the all-time high, which was super bullish. And now we're in a retracement trying to finish out, before we finish out this final leg of this 5-wave impulsive structure. Got targets marked around 129 to 132, on up to 141, 147. Elliott wave really follows the Fibonacci's really well. And then you add in some trends, and it really starts to tell a story. So you can see we're really getting towards the end of this move. So we're kind of getting cautious on what happens, where it happens, and how it happens. So I want to go back down into the 4-hour chart. We'll kind of break this move down, since we know we're kind of working on looking for that 5-wave, that 5th wave out of this 5-wave structure on the daily. You can see we put in a big wave one all the way down to wave two, where we dropped down to about 108,000. Once we hit that 108,000, we just shot off straight up. Wave three. Wave three is always your strongest move in Elliott wave theory. So it's no surprise it went so hard. And then we're just in a bull market, so these things go even harder. But you can see we finished wave three, and we've started this correction down. And usually these are like a 5-wave down, which isn't as big as a 5-wave up because it's corrective. But we start working down. And typical retracements are the 382 when you come down out of wave four. It's you hit one of two places. You hit the 382 or you hit the 618. But in order to complete a wave four impulsive pattern, wave four cannot drop below wave one. And that's why I've got this yellow line here. This tells me that if we drop below here, something's wrong and we need to revisit what we're looking at. But I think we're pretty right, especially with the liquidation heat map. I think we're right on schedule, right on target of where we should go. So we've completed an A wave. And the thing about retracements, whether you use Elliott wave theory or not, these things usually, there's like an 80% shot that they don't just take off to the upside from here. There's a 20% chance we could, but it's not very probable. You can see there's a fair value gap we tapped up here. And if I open this up just a little more, you can see we've kind of wicked and we're rejecting off of this 236 now, which is very common. So this is probably the completion of the B wave. We may come on up here 122, 123, but then I expect you see some downside back down. I really like this pocket from 119 to 117. What I'll do from here is we're probably going to watch out for this 50 smooth moving average. It's probably going to use that for support, and we're going to head on up to the upside. But what I do when I get to this 4-hour point, I flip over to the 1 hour. And what I wait for is it to come down, tap somewhere in here, bounce, and then put in a higher low. Once we do that, that's a pretty good indication that we're going to the upside. It's usually small. Sometimes if I really want to crank my leverage up, I'll go find it on the 15 if we get down to the hourly and we're looking like we're going to bounce. But that's how I get my entries. That's how I find that higher leverage. Even if you're not confident in it, you can run a 10x trade from here with stop loss below and validation. And it's going to put you in a pretty good spot. So I hope that kind of helps you understand what I'm looking for and why I'm looking in the places that I look. So that gives you a pretty good idea on Bitcoin. I'm going to go ahead and go back to the liquidation heat maps. We're going to look at Ethereum here, see what we've got going on the 24-hour chart. You can see we've got some big pockets of liquidity all the way up to about $4,600. I think we'll probably go up and try to grab those. There is a little bit of liquidity sitting down here still. If you look at the heat map down below $4,400, about 136 million. But if you go to the top side, man, there's almost $800 million worth of liquidations up to about 49.40. So there's plenty of fuel, plenty of feed to go ahead and get this thing fired up. But like I said, I think we top out here $4,600. Then we're probably going to come down. There will be more liquidations that start piling up below. And I don't think the market makers are going to want to leave that there. They like to chase liquidity and they like to grab it all before they make a big move. So going into the Ethereum chart, let's go on out to the daily. These charts can also be found in the crypto school. I post them there every night for reference. Gives you a better idea. So Ethereum's a little suspect. I'm not confident this move is done. We may get an extended B here, but we've got these fair value gaps under the daily, which kind of indicates that we're probably pretty close to a bounce. If you go to the daily RSIs and the stochastics, you can see we just printed a red cell on the daily, which is a little suspect with the 4-hour invalidation. Let me make sure we're in the right spot here. Yeah, okay, so 4-hour invalidation is further down. So now it doesn't look as suspect. It makes a lot more sense. Okay. But you can see we're working down. But to tell you the big story, here's where we started. Same thing. Ethereum took a beating all the way down into April. $1,300 it fell down to. Everybody thought Ethereum was dead. Nobody wanted to talk about it. I honestly pulled some of my Ethereum out of spot, rolled it into SUI because I was really worried about how it would perform. But I think it's going to do okay. So we came in and built our wave 1, dropped to wave 2, had our big impulsive wave 3. Sometimes these wave 3s extend. So that's why I think we hit extensions on wave 5. We're tracing into wave 4 now. I think we've put in a little leg here to retest before we go on up. 6,900 to 7,800, 10,000 to 1211, guys, and it could go higher than that. The 2.618's up around 17.2. So keep that in mind, but that tells you a story of how we got here, what we're looking for, really getting close to the end of this 5-wave move. So we've got to be cautious and watch our tops and make sure that we're going to the right place. There is a possibility we stop at around $9,000 as well, but we'll break that down as we move along. So let's go to the 4 hours, see what we're cooking here. I may end up moving that back up because I think I went to daily one instead of 4-hour one. Yeah, that's what happened. That's why it didn't look right. 2,900 sounded really low. So let's go ahead and move this back up to wave 1. 4-hour invalidations right around $4,250. This is why I said I don't think we run just immediately. We've got a pretty big fair value gap that's blocking the 236. We lost the 382. So in Elliott wave theory, we've completed 3 waves. There's 1, 2, 3 on the 4-hour. We're coming down for 4. Last night, I wasn't real confident that we were going to hit this bottom end of this ascending wedge. But now I'm becoming a little more concerned about it. Not concerned, but I'm becoming a little more confident I thought we might see a bounce off of this fair value gap and run from there. But once we put in this fair value gap, it really told a story because, like I said, we've talked about this before. They usually don't just bounce and take off on the first bounce. They usually have to take another fall and then they bounce the second time, which puts us, if you follow Elliott wave theory on a wave 4 retracement, that takes you to the 382 or the 618. Well, we lost the 382. We're retesting it now. So that probably puts us at the 618, about $4,350. So what happens when we get down here, like I said, to the bottom end of this ascending wedge, I'm probably going to jump over to the 1 hour. You can see I've got my fibs that carry over from the 4 hour. And I'm going to start watching this area really close. Two places. This 200 smooth moving average looks like a really good place to bounce, somewhere around 43.88. Or we're going to look just a little lower, around 43.40. I feel like we're splitting hairs at this point. And like I said, you can probably come down and bounce off of this. Liquidation or the invalidation level is well below the line. So I don't think we're in jeopardy of touching that, but time will tell. We are moving up. I'm not optimistic, especially with two big fair value gaps, but we may come up and grab this top side liquidity, just like we talked about earlier, looking at the heat map. So that gives you a pretty good idea. And the same thing on Ethereum. Once we get down here around this, I'm going to watch. There's a tiny fair value gap there. I think we've kind of used that up on our bounce here. What's probably going to happen is we're going to go up and tap this 50, reject off of it. This is basically a WXYXZ pattern. And then another ABC follows that, which puts us down at this target, $4,350. When we get here, I'm going to wait. I'll wait for it to bounce. We'll wait to see it come up, put in that higher low, and that's when I'll load the boat. Then we're looking at our upper targets again, just so it makes sense and you can kind of see the picture. You can see we'll drop down here. It doesn't look like a very, very big move on the daily, but it has been on the 4 hour. Then we launch up $6,900, $7,600, $10,000 on up to $12,000, and we could go even higher. These numbers will change by a few $100 once we find out our bounce point. I've got it set a little low here, honestly. I've got it set at 38.68. So even if you drug it up to invalidation, it completely changes our targets again to the upside, which is a good thing. Let's go ahead and take a look at it. Yeah, that tops us out at $11,000 to $13,000. Like I said, we'll refine these numbers. You're getting a pretty good idea of where we are. We've got a couple of 4-wave impulsive moves that'll work through this to get there. We've got some time. You can see this is pounding out sometime around Christmas that we get to the top of this. And then where do we go from there? We're just going to have to figure out when we get there. Personally, I'm going to take most of my profits here. I'm happy with that. I've held on to things for 3 years now in the bull run. I took all my profits previously, or not my profits, but I took all my initials out on the previous high. So this is all free money for me. But yeah, I'm going to start. I'll start DCAing out here. I'll probably take 30-40% here, and then I'll go ahead and clean my bags out here. I probably won't take all of it, and just in an opportunity that we may retrace and bounce and go into some kind of super cycle. But like I said, I'm not going to get greedy here. I'm super happy with my gains that I've made this over the past 3 years. And yeah, I'll put a lot of that cash back. We'll wait for another cycle if that's what happens, and we'll reload the boat and try it all again. But I hope that gives you some insight. I tried to make this video just a little more detailed for you, give you newer guys a better chance at this. I'm just a blue collar guy that's just trying to find a little freedom. And I know that it can be overwhelming, especially when I'm just rattling off waves and Fibonacci. So I'll try to break these down, slow them down a little bit. It may take a little longer to get through them, but I think there's valuable information that I've been skipping over, and I want you guys to understand. And if you have any questions on these, don't hesitate to reach out. Leave a comment in the video. Message me in the crypto school. Let's take a look at that real quick. I forgot to show you guys. The crypto school. If you're not here, guys, you're missing out. You'll find the links to all this in my description. There's also a link to BitUnix, a link to BitUnix. It's all there. But you can see, we've been talking all night, trying to figure out where the bottom is. Like I said, Coach's channel, that's me, Coach Chris. Like I said, I posted those videos from tonight, or posted the screens from tonight. It's all in there. kind of told what I was doing today. I took some shorts, had some pretty good opportunities, pulled another 20% not too long ago. Yeah, Solana at 90%, ETH 100%, Bitcoin 55%. It's been a good day. Had a good trade day today. I wasn't going to take shorts, but I woke up this morning. It looked pretty juicy, so I went ahead and jumped in. But like I said, a great lineup of coaches. Everybody's here to help. Nobody's ever going to make you feel stupid. So come on over and hang out with me. We do a lot of live voice chats over there where I just go over the charts and explain if you have questions. It's very, very valuable. Me and my buddy Fish, we love to do that stuff. We break it down. He has a completely different way of trading, and we've kind of grown into this together. So it's interesting. I use one thing, he uses another, but when we combine them together, man, it's unstoppable. We really do well. But I'm going to stop talking now. I've talked long enough. Chris Hare, the Crypto Cowboy, thanks so much for watching. We'll see you down the road.